Welcome to the Ecumenical Church of Occitane's Advent and Christmas Carol Advent calendar. Each day during Advent we will reflect on one well-known Advent or Christmas carol, as well as looking at paintings of the sort that often appear on Christmas cards. We hope you'll join us every day as we prepare to celebrate again the birth of Jesus Christ over 2,000 years ago. December the 19th, once in Royal David City. As with Silent Night, I felt obliged to choose this carol, although it is far from being a favourite of mine. It was written by Cecil Frances Alexander in 1848 for her book Hymns for Little Children. This in part explains what I regard as the worst hymn verse ever written. It's verse 3, "And through all his wondrous childhood he would honour and obey, love and watch the lowly maiden in whose gentle arms he lay. Christian children all must be, mild, obedient, good as he." It sets up an image of the child Jesus for which there is no evidence, as a means to intimidate children into being mild, obedient and good, the ideal for the Victorian parent, and a denial of an important part of what it means to be a child. Nor am I convinced that the image of heaven is that compelling, where like stars his children crowned, all in white shall wait around, whatever that means. The tune was composed by the church organist Henry John Gauntlet, but I can forgive this carol almost everything because of Arthur Henry Mann's arrangement based on Gauntlet's melody. Mann was organist at King's College Chapel, Cambridge, from 1876 to 1929. King's began the Christmas Eve festival of 9 lessons and carols in 1919, and Mann recognised the potential for using Once in Royal David City as the opening processional carol. The first verse is sung unaccompanied by a solo boy chorister, a lone voice piercing the darkness. Then the choir joins in for the second verse, and the whole congregation from the third verse onwards. John Bell of the Iona community once paraphrased George Bernard Shaw by saying that every choir is a conspiracy against the laity. I agree with him generally, but would have to make an exception for the festival of 9 lessons and carols. Perhaps it is the exception which proves the rule. Our painting today is by Robert Campin of Tournai and dates to around 1420. It was acquired by the Musée des Beaux-Arts in Dijon in 1828 and is believed to have come from somewhere nearby in Burgundy, but the precise provenance is unknown. During the 15th century, Flanders was ruled by the Duke of Burgundy, in this case Philip the Good, and work by Flemish artists can be found throughout Burgundy. Campin was a contemporary of Jan van Eyck, and both had taken to painting in oil paint rather than egg tempera. The former gave a much more subtle range of hues and was less likely to fade. The composition is of great interest. The stable is very run down, expressing the poverty of the scene, with animals and people cramped together. The noisy shepherds are entering with bagpipes. Mary in white looks very young, Joseph contrastingly old. The rather well-dressed figures to the right are the midwives, who are there to verify that Mary retains her virginity despite having given birth. The landscape background is of interest too, showing a winding road leading to an estuary, foreshadowing much Netherlandish art of the following few centuries. And his shelter was a stable, and his cradle was a stall, with the poor and mean and lowly lived on earth, our Saviour holy.